The three of us, this is Bobbi Johnson, Brenda Picha, Andrea Jensvold. We work at Lincoln Elementary teaching 2nd grade, and we were really excited to have a chance to collaborate and work on a unit we've been planning for quite some time. So we're going to start by giving you a little overview, and then we'll go back and do our gradual release. So thanks to Glenn, who's not here, we used his little format here. And so every year actually the last couple of years, at the end of the year, we go to the seashore. And it's sort of a culminating activity because throughout the year in science, we're talking about and learning about organisms and different types of soils. So this is a good spot to go visit. And so the unit that we've created will take about 3 weeks. We've mentioned a couple of the standards, but as we got talking, we actually thought, there are actually a lot more reading, writing standards that we could put into here. So we're hoping to integrate the science, writing, reading, and art. And our final outcome is that students will be able to write an informative and explanatory piece, including an introduction, facts about the animal, and a conclusion. So then, throughout the unit, we're hoping, we're planning on using a lot of the GLAD strategies, specifically a pictorial input, comparative input chart, as well as a process grid. There's a few others you'll see that we'll show you here in a minute as well. We'll use the gradual release of responsibility, think, write, pair, share, as well as reflective writing. Any questions so far? Okay. Thank you. It is awkward as you're looking here. Okay, so anyhow, we will be elaborating on the vocabulary. 2 words that we have come up with, habitat, ecosystem, but we know there are a lot more that we will add to that. So as our unit starts, we will be reading aloud books from the library as well as from our seashore tubs at read aloud time, so just immersing the kids in this information. We'll start with the CWWP chart on sea animals, which I have right here. And you're all familiar with this. This is also a picture from the GLAD strategies handbook we have. So this is just an example, not specifically what about sea creatures here, but similar to what we'll do with sea creatures. We also have a really fun video that we've used in the past on the Learn 360 website that we have at our school, all about tide pools. So kids will get to gather information from that and learn about various sea creatures. We like this video because it actually highlighted some of the creatures we see when we go to the seashore. Specifically in our unit of study, and feel free, jump in please if there's something. We will be looking at the animals listed here. And so after we, introduce with the video, we will go on to mini lesson with text features, modeling with some of the sea creature books that we have. This next step, day 3 through 6, is the steps lessons that we will come back to and do the gradual release of responsibility with you. We will be looking at 2 animals. And in our classroom, we thought that we would actually use a comparative input chart, something like Nicole did with us when she came. Today, however, we might alter that somewhat, so you'll see when we get to that point. But we really thought this would really address the needs of the 2nd graders as well as the English language learners in the classroom. So after we highlight 2 animals, we would take that information and we would put that onto a process grid. Again, another example from the GLAD handbook. Our specific process grid will look something similar to this.
And that's what we're going to work on today, is a group.
So we will be focusing on 3 animals when we get to that point. Okay. Anything that before I go on, that you guys can think of that we need to add to that?
No, the only thing that I was thinking is the reason why we chose just a certain amount of animals is, one, we know that we'll see them at the seashore when we go on that trip. And we can also control some of that learning and make sure we have information in books. So one of Tara's favorite animals is up here. So anyways, and so we have that, we are controlling a little bit of that, but the children will have choice at the end. So that was the only thing I thought.
So and actually, before we go to the process grid, we will be gathering information about each animal. So we've created this animal graphic organizer.
And this is where they're going to learn facts and prove and have their evidence.
And this is actually part of the process we'll do with you. So anyhow, they will be gathering information, looking for all of this info, as well as making a little quick sketch with labels possibly down here at the bottom. So again, we'll be doing this several times to go through the gradual release. Our final, not quite final, but the next step would be to come to this informative writing structure. And so from the information that we researched, we will take our animal and we'll come up with a topic sentence, the details, and then a conclusion. And again, we will be going through this with several animals before the children are on their own doing that. So one of our goals is to revisit that process grid, get to know that information so that it's right at the top of their brain. We thought we could even come up with a Jeopardy game, some sort of trivia game. We thought about writing a riddle, which came up I know a lot today, and we thought that would be a fun thing to do that would actually help the kids process the facts that they're learning. As we continue through the lesson, we would, after we've gathered the information, as far as going back to that introduction piece, we would use the mentor text resource that Kaylee and Tara shared with us and choose a lesson to model how to create a good introduction. And then we would go back to that page and do it on the page I just showed you. The next days here, we would go into adding the details, and again, do some mini lessons related to how to elaborate and add details to a paragraph. And then, as well as a conclusion, once we've gathered this information on the animal that we're working on together, we would like to do the cooperative sentence structure that Nicole shared in GLAD, where we really work together to add facts, go back and add transition words, have the beginning, middle, and end. So we're really working on that together as a model. And finally, from this piece, we would hope to come back and type that up so that we would have a text we worked on published. Let's see, as we conclude here toward the end of our unit, we would, actually one thing I didn't show you at the beginning, we would share this with the kids at the beginning so they sort of know what to expect. The rubric here focuses on, of course, the different areas that we would want to work on because they're working on their informational writing. And our hope would be, once we've gone through the gradual release and the children.
Sea stars are purely marine animals, even using seawater instead of blood to pump nutrients throughout their bodies. Because we're trying to stop and talk because that was going to make no sense to them. So that would be kind of neat because I was like, really? When I read that. So it tells you what type they are, their diet, like what they want to eat. So we have, probably a little mini lesson on carnivore. And I was Googling it and like, well, what do they eat? It's obviously meat, but it has to be, a slow-moving creature because sea stars aren't very fast. So it was saying things like mussels, maybe like a dead fish or a dying fish that they can kind of attach onto. Up here it says their lifespan is about 35 years. It's a long time, especially when you're 7. The size that they can be, 4 to 9 inches. How much they can weigh, up to 11 pounds. experience, most of them are not quite that large, but because 11 pounds would be pretty big. And then did you know that sea stars have no brains? And no, I'm just waiting because they'd be like, their nervous system is spread through their arms, and their blood is actually filtered through seawater. And then I like this little, shows kind of like a little teacup, you know, if you're in a teacup, the size that it is compared, so it's not like this massive thing, you know, I'm trying to tell them what the size will be. Then it comes with a little more text here that we would read together. Marine scientists have undertaken the difficult task of replacing the beloved starfish's common name with sea star. Because, well, a starfish is not a fish. It's an echinoderm and closely related to sea urchins and sand dollars. Because that's a big learning curve for kids to actually call them a starfish and not a sea star. There are some 2,000 different kinds of sea stars living in our oceans. And as you can see, when I read this, I always improvise some of the words that I think either go back and expand on their vocabulary, or I'll just kind of say them in my teacher words. From tropical habitats to the cold seafloor, the 5-arm varieties are the most common, hence their name, but species can have up to 10, 20, sometimes even 40 arms. They have bony, calcified skin which protects them from most predators. I think it's kind of hard to bite into. And many wear striking colors, like bold, flashy colors, that camouflage them so they kind of can hide and stuff. And they scare off potential attackers. Purely marine animals, there's no freshwater sea stars. So they have to live in salt water. And only a few live in the brackish water, which I had to look at. It's the, when salt water mixes with fresh water. You guys probably know that. I never heard it called that though. Beyond their distinctive shapes, sea stars are famous for their ability to regenerate limbs. That means get new ones. And in some cases, their entire bodies they can make. So if it gets attacked, it can actually reproduce another arm. Or it says on here, their whole body. They accomplish things by housing most of their vital organs, like your stomach and all that kind of stuff, in their arms. Some require the central body to intact to regenerate. Some require the central body. But a few species can grow an entirely new sea star just from a portion of a severed limb. So I'd have to go, we'd have to probably have a minute discussion on that. Most sea stars also have the remarkable ability to consume prey outside their bodies. Now this is the gross part that they're going to love. Using tiny suction-cupped tube feet, they pry open their clams or oysters, and their sac-like cardiac stomach, so like their stomach comes out. They push it out from their mouth and oozes inside the shell. So it's like it goes in there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be cool. The stomach then envelopes the prey to digest it, so it covers it up and it's like eating the whole thing. And finally withdraws back into the body. Okay. So then I would just model with them how I would take this sheet and start filling in, because I want to be an expert on sea stars. I'm real curious about sea stars. I want to be an expert. So I'm going to do this smaller maybe. So I would show them how we can go and get the information. And of course we've copied off handouts that have the information. So I would tell them there's always a scientific name for the things that we call, like the starfish is actually right here. It always is kind of in these fancy letters. And I never usually know how to say them. But a starfish is an, so you wouldn't find one of these at people's pond. You would have to be out where you saw. And then there was a lot of interesting facts in here. I probably would pull back this and, we go through, there's 2,000 kinds. Some can have this many arms. You could go whatever you want to put in here, because it was a lot. 2,000 different stomach. Okay. Or we could even just write stomach and that would remind us what we wanted to say there. And then what do they eat? We learned the word was carnivore, which means they're going to eat meat things. So they don't necessarily come onto like a piece of seaweed and eat it. It sounds like it has to be some kind of meat. And then the size and weight, this piece here was, gave us really great details. It says it can be, I would say, 4 up to 9 inches. And it can be up to 11 pounds. And then usually I would, have a, if your woman has a baby, a lot of times it weighs like 7 pounds. And look at how big a baby is, they kind of would know what 11 pounds is. And then quick sketch, say most of them have 5 arms, right? So that would be quick sketch. They have puppies. They're called puppies. Then we would take that information, and we would have the process grid on a big piece of butcher paper, but we thought it would just be faster if we just did it on a little slider. And just put that information into here, because then all the experts groups information can be on this one sheet. Because we were talking, if maybe your group was an expert on the sea star, but you might want to write about the moon still, so you have all the information here. So the scientific name was basically just showing how you can use your graphic organizer and just put it right on here, just what you are already done. And since I'm doing this one, I would just do it all without really a whole lot of input. It would just be copy. I would just put meat, 4 to 9 inches, up to 11 pounds. And the interesting fact that I might want to write about is their stomach, maybe their arms, and the 2,000 pounds. Make sense? Well, I think that's how we would do it. And we might even do more than one animal together like that, where we're just going to talk and they're listening. And then Bobbi will give the.
So now we're going to do wheat worms. So, and this would be probably the second or third day. So this would just be one day of the eye because second graders can't go through all of this. But then here's the wheat, and we're going to look at the moon snail. And so as you read, your adult learners, take a minute to read, and as you're reading, you can underline or highlight any of the facts that you might find. Remember, you're looking for the scientific name or their everyday name, habitat, interesting facts, diet, size, and weight. So as you read that, you're on your own with a partner. You can go ahead and start looking for those so we can complete this organizer together. And then, of course, in the second grade, we have a text that either we'd be reading this with them or a little bit lower level.
Or with a partner.
Yes.
With their small groups.
So again, you're looking for name, habitat, interesting facts, what they eat, and their size or weight. Okay, so if you had a chance to look at that, let's fill this out together. So this is the wheat part. So what is the everyday name of our animal?
This is moon snail.
Okay, so this is moon snail. And does anybody want to give a try the scientific name? Yeah. Okay, and where does it live? Or can we find him? Okay.
It also
I found it interesting in the last pair. I spelled that right, I'm not sure. I found it interesting in the last one how it got its name. But it was on the round, so that was really interesting. So then I showed them just some pictures. This is the moose snail collar that we see all over beaches, and it's amazing. And I think I did say a little bit about that, the thin collars, which are thin pieces, look like thin pieces of rubber on the 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's where they lay their eggs. Mucus, so it's really cool. And we have this last.
So they're all over.
And this last year, we did get to see some live ones. Okay. And then we'll do our quick sketch. Do the best we can. Oh, wow. The collar. Collar. There we go. So that's what we do for the week part. Right? And now you guys are going to do on your own. This will be the regular release. So now you're going to do one on the seagull.
Right, and in our classrooms, we'll actually have groups.
Sorry, while you're doing that, we moved
Oh,
into
that's
the
right.
process, right? So we just have all that information. I forgot that. So while they're working on that, I'll do this.
Okay. Okay. So we would actually have several different animals at this point that we work on in expert groups. You are going to be experts on the seagull, and so we will pass out some information on the seagull. And then also the animal graphic organizer, so we can find out. You should all have two pieces of paper, a graphic organizer and then a piece of paper. And again, depending on our students, we might be doing this in a small group. We might be doing it with partners.
This is probably when we would pull back our little kids into the group.
And I also wanted to share more specific information about the size. I did a little research on my own and I found out the range of sizes of the seagull that was on the Pacific coast. Can you share? Over. 4.2 ounces to 3.8 pounds.
We had an issue with the notes yesterday.
About 38.
And the other thing that if it wasn't too much, I don't have to come with work, but I've also thought about highlighting the different facts of different colors. If we could, I don't know if for second grade if they'd be able to do that, if it might confuse them and which color is supposed to be which, but maybe if we highlighted, habitats all in green or in, what they eat in pink, that would help with the color coding, like that was also suggested. So if we just would have to try, it might be too much for them to change out, but I'm not sure if we,
I think
checking.
possible in a small group.
The small
Some of the
groups.
large group would be a
Yes.
nightmare, but
Yes.
a small group would be perfect.
And of course, we'll be tweaking this as we go through it and finding what works and what doesn't, and changing the zoom.
And they could all be we do's. We might find out that they're not capable of doing it with that, at least kind of what I'm wondering.
Or you could refer to progress each time you read.
Yes, like the first time, exactly. Let's just redefine the habitat, let's just redefine what it is, right?
But I could see some of the higher kids, once they figured out how we did this, they would do it on their daily 5 time for sure. They'd be
questions. Like for instance, did you know Bermuda snails mostly made out of water? Just thought second graders could take one of the facts that was pretty cool and make it into questions for their topics. Important details, again, many lessons on how to not just list, but how to live it, and then also how to write conclusions.
And that would be over a series of days.
Yes.
And I kind of the goal of the whole thing is to get a research project out of second grader.
Yeah.
Paper.
Paper.
But it's essentially a project